Hi everyone, my name is Sandra. Welcome back to my channel. This is my December bullet journal setup for 2020 and I am so excited to share this with you. I have kind of decided on something different. So as you guys may know, if you've watched my December bullet journal setups in the past, I love festive themes. I go red and green, I go all out. And speaking of, I will link my last year's December bullet journal setup for you. Go ahead and check that out. In the meantime, this first page, I decided to do not a quote really, but from a song. So it was Walking in a Winter Wonderland, and I decided to frame the page with these little snowflakes. I'm not really going to discuss the pens that I've decided to use, but I will have everything linked down below in the description box. So if you want to check that out, it will be down below. But I did decide to write this little quote in a black marker, but I wanted to give it some color as well. So I went over top of it with this light blue pen, and I also added some white gel pen on top. So I think it looks pretty unique. It's not just a simple quote, and I really liked it. So when I first started this theme, the entire bullet journal for the monthly setup was going to be a Winter Wonderland theme. And as I progressed, like a lot of my bullet journal spreads tend to do, I went from Winter Wonderland to forest with trees and a cabin in the woods to holly. And the holly isn't your traditional red and green, it's actually dark navy blue with this muted green tone for the leaves. So completely different, but at the same time, I really think the dark blue brings it all together, and there's something very cohesive about it at the same time, which is what I enjoy about this spread. Also, you will remember that a lot of my previous bullet journal spreads have been very colorful, very bright, and I find that this one is a lot more muted, and I'm really enjoying that this year. So I did kind of stick to winter themes. I have quite a few Christmas idea spreads throughout this bullet journal setup, but I also did change the color palette completely, and I changed my style a little bit. So at this part, I decided to have the dark blue sky with the stars shining brightly above. And when I first started out, I did not think it was going to turn out as good as it did. And I am so pleased with the end result that it just turned out way better than I imagined. This next spread is my monthly calendar spread. So I decided this month to have a smaller version of this grid calendar because on the next page I did do an event calendar, kind of a list style. So what I did below this tiny calendar was of course added my YouTube tracker, and on the right hand side I added a larger box for monthly tasks because I do enjoy having my monthly tasks on the same page as this calendar. And then I also added a smaller goal section box. So because I do have my Cultivate What Matters goal planner, I have that separate. I do like to bring over some goals from that to my bullet journal just because it helps me to remember what my goals are for the month, and I really kind of dig in and focus on them. I also decided to carry this treescape over to this page. I thought it was a little bit more cohesive that way, and I just really liked the way it looked, especially the fact that I used some distancing and perspective on the page. So as you go to the left, the trees get bigger and bigger, so they are appearing closer to the page, if that makes sense, and then toward the right, they're farther away. So I really liked how that turned out as well. So as I had said, this spread was more of a list style calendar, which is your typical bullet journal style by Ryder Carroll. But what I decided to do this time is combine my calendar with my posting schedule for YouTube. So normally I would put events and events and my son's school days on the left-hand side, and the right-hand side would be everything to do with YouTube. But I decided to track a lot more things in my Happy Planner this month, and my bullet journal spreads are a little bit more simple and just not as in-depth as they were for October and November. So I like this a lot better because I do a lot of my background work for my YouTube channel in my Happy Planner, and having a YouTube schedule just posted right here beside the events really helps me kind of decide when I need to do a makeup tutorial, for instance, or when I can post it for. So it's kind of nice for that. And the right hand side was just all of my ideas for YouTube. So that would have been my makeup, stationery, and other, in case I wanted to do a vlog style video. This page here is of course my weight tracker. So as of the new year, I think I'll be moving this over to my Happy Planner, but for now, until the end of the year, I wanted to keep it in my bullet journal. And the right hand side is my dream log. So I keep it down to half a page of a spread because I haven't really been remembering my dreams, so I don't need to waste a whole spread. This one is pretty simple. There's not a whole lot that goes on here. I just get my ideas from Cindy's Facebook page, Cindy Guntart-Baldo. I'm going to link her channel just if you want to check her out. And I do some I will be doing Christmas doodles on this one, of course, but they're usually completely random. And this spread, okay, you guys, I decided to go all out for my habit tracker. I don't know why. It's a lot more simple to just track a few habits at a time. I would usually do no more than 9, but I decided to track tons of them. I think I have 20 on this page, if I'm not mistaken. And I just thought, instead of always putting it on my to-do list, so I don't want to have to write, journal today. So if I can track it in my habit tracker, it makes a little bit more sense. And I have things like wake up at 6 a.m., go to bed by 11, which is probably not going to happen because I have kind of a new routine or a new schedule, if you will. In order to get work done, I've decided to stay up till like 3 o'clock in the morning every night because my kids will be sleeping and that's when I can get work done. And then during the day while my son is at school, I'll just have a nap during the day with my daughter. So anyway, that's kind of besides the point. But it takes me a little bit to draw out all these boxes, and because it takes so long, I don't do the little grid lines in between because it would take forever, you guys, let alone adding the numbers 1 to 31 in all of the boxes. That is something I don't do. I don't find it that difficult to keep track. I just remember when the next previous day was that I've kept track and go from there. And if I have to, I just refer to a December calendar. So it's not that difficult. And as you'll see, I did try using a Posca paint pen here and it did not work for me. So I did resort to using my Signo Uniball broad white gel pen. This side of the spread, as usual, is my mood tracker, and my first initial thought was to do candy canes for the entire page. So I did a variety of normal candy canes, some with bows around them, and then I decided to do the wreath candy canes with little bows on top or on the bottom. And just to kind of make it a little bit different, I added actual wreaths in there, and each day when I'm feeling a particular way, I'll just color it in accordingly. I haven't set a color palette yet because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use the blue and the green tones that I was going with, and it probably will end up being that, but I'm going to have to think of an interesting way to color them so they look kind of cute at the end. This is my Christmas countdown, so you guys know that I always do a countdown. I think the first year I did one, it was a candy cane, and then one time it was Christmas lights, and then I think another time, and some of these haven't been posted to YouTube, but another time was like the bulbs on a Christmas tree. So this time I took a page from Amanda Rachel Lee's bullet journal, and I used these little pieces of paper I cut out. So of course, first I colored them with my Tombow pen, and I cut them out into little squares. So I did tweak it a little bit. Under each of these squares, I decided to put a Christmas song. So each day, the idea is to lift up one tab, and I've got 1 to 25, and that day I will sing that Christmas song at some point during the day. And I had a video error right after this spread, and it jumped this whole spread as well as the next one. So the next page is just these kind of elliptical circles, and I'm going to keep track of all the Christmas movies I'll be watching between pretty much now and the end of Christmas, and I'm just going to write them down in the little circles. This is my stocking stuffer page, and I really did keep this the same. I did change the designs on the stockings a little bit, but because I liked this so much, I first saw it on Amanda Rach Lee's channel, and I have been doing this ever since because it's just so cute. I made these little stockings, and then the idea is to write the person's name underneath each stocking, and then underneath that list all of the stocking stuffer ideas you have for them. So the only difference here is the fact that I did change my color palette, and I kept it in tones of muted grays, the dark blue, and light blue. The page opposite the stocking stuffers is gift ideas. You guys guessed it, I had to have a little area to write down all of the gifts we're going to buy for people. So this one's pretty simple. I just made little circles to kind of represent bulbs, and I added little bows on the top of them, and then underneath each of them I put names for all the people we're going to buy for, and just made a tiny little list inside. So I have been keeping track of all of the Christmas presents in a spreadsheet and also in my happy planner. So this is just pretty much a decorative spread. I'm still going to check them off as I buy the gifts, but I've really budgeted this year. I've started budgeting, so that kind of played into the whole what we're going to buy, who we're going to buy for. And I had to start that at the end of October just so we had enough money to buy Christmas gifts. And this one's just pretty much a decorative spread. This spread also has not changed that much, with the exception that instead of the paper coming out of an envelope, I decided to make a scroll. So here's where you're first going to start seeing the holly that I have colored dark blue with the muted green, and I love it. It's not conventional by any means, but I think it's so cute. And to make the holly a little bit more realistic, I added some touches of gel pen to the berries to make them pop. The page opposite is my holiday bucket list. So again, this spread is very, very simple. I just made a whole bunch of dots on the left side of the page, and I'm going to list all the things I want to do. This spread is my holiday planner. So you guys, oh my goodness, because of COVID, I don't know how much use this spread is going to get. Conventionally, and in previous years, I would have used this for buying holiday tickets. You can also use it if you are going on a flight somewhere, and you can put your itinerary in here, and also use it for a recipe spot. So you can add cookies to bake, ingredients to buy, a bucket list, any Christmas things that you want to do, places you want to go shopping, anything like that. Basically anything to do with the holidays is what I would use this for. So the decorative element to this spread is I put little icicles and snow on top, added a couple of pieces of holly on there, and then a little snowman in the corner. Okay, you guys, so getting down to the very last spread in this monthly setup. If you've watched my previous bullet journal videos, you will know that I detest weekly setups. I don't like them mostly because I find it doesn't give me enough space, so I have been doing daily spreads for a really long time. However, because I was down to a few pages left in this notebook, I decided for all of December I would do these Dutch door spreads. And I did do this last year in my previous A5 Archer and Olive, and it turned out way better. And I'm looking at this and I figure that if I had used smaller scissors, I probably would have had an easier time. But when I first started doing this, I did not think that this would be a very successful page, and I am pleasantly surprised that it turned out really nice and it looks very elegant, especially with the color palette that I chose. I'm very happy with it, and because I am using a B5 Archer and Olive this time around, I find that it does allow me for a lot of room. And that is part of the reason why I decided to use the Dutch door spread, because this type of spread allows you to really spread out your pieces that you want to include. So for instance, on the left hand side on the main page, I added an event bar, and on the right hand side I added a grocery list. And then in between are basically all of my days from Sunday through to Saturday, and at the very bottom of the right hand side I put a little area for notes and for next week. And I think it turned out really good. So I did the same idea with the berries that I did previously, is I added some little white gel pen marks on them to make it look like the light was reflecting off and they looked a little bit more realistic. I think my biggest challenge was probably the cutting, and also to make it look even on each side. Those are probably the hardest parts, to be honest. So here I'm about to add my Erin Condren tab so I know where December starts, and here is the final flip through. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed creating it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, if you're new here, consider subscribing. And last but not least, click that bell notification button so you'll be notified every time I upload. Have a good one, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.